Hi, I'm Liz. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to go through a short hip opening video. This is going to be great to do if you sit at a desk or you've just had a really long day of driving. It's not going to take up heaps of time and you don't need any equipment, you don't need a lot of space, you can just wear whatever you're wearing. Obviously if you're in like a dress or a skirt, maybe be a little bit mindful if you're in an office or something like that. But something that you can do anywhere at any time if you've got a spare kind of 10 to 15 minutes. So we're going to start on our hands and knees. So making sure the knees are underneath your hips, the wrists are underneath your shoulders, and we'll go through some cat-cow, or cow-cat as I like to call it because we do cow first. Take a breath in, drop the belly down to the floor, look forward. As you're breathing out, draw the belly in, roll the spine up towards the ceiling, tucking the chin and the hips. Breathing in, drop the belly down, shoulder blades come together. Breathing out, reversing that, pressing down through the palms, opening up through the shoulder blades. Let's take a couple more of these. Nice little opportunity just to connect into the breath. Connect into how your body's feeling. Make this next one your last one. And we're going to go into some spinal circles. So I'm just going to show you this from the front. You're going to breathe in, drop the belly down, and then as you breathe out, rolling the rib cage out to one side, rolling up and over to the other side, and breathing in, dropping down. So like you're creating a circular motion through that rib cage area. You can imagine it's a barrel and it's kind of rolling out to the side, rolling up and over to the opposite side. And again, just feeling into that rib cage area, the spine, the hips. So I know this is a hip opener, but if we're going to open up the hips, I think it's important that we start with what's happening above there as well. All connected. Make this next one the last one. Reversing that, going to the other side. Breathing in, breathing out, rolling up and over. Breathing in, breathing out. Really nice movement here. Do that 2 more times. Staying in this 4-point kneeling position or quadruped position, you may know it as that. So again, wrists under shoulders, knees are going to stay under the, well, they're not actually going to stay under the hips, they're going to come together, but we still want them under that hip area. Feet are going to lift off the floor. You're going to start to wag the tail from side to side. So moving the hips from side to side. Couple of different options here. You can take a little arch through the back. So bringing it into an extension. You may feel that a little bit more through the lower back, or you can come into a bit more flexion here. Think about going into that cat position and just find the position where maybe you feel a little bit more tension. So for me and for a lot of people I know that do this, it's when we're coming into that extension. So we're dropping the belly down to the floor, pressing the hips up. And it feels a little bit kind of, not jammed up in the lower back, but I can feel more tension when I come into that position. We're going to stay there. So find the position that where you feel that the most and just work through that movement. Obviously, if it's really painful and it just doesn't feel right, then I don't recommend staying in that position. But if you're kind of like, oh, it just feels a little bit uncomfortable, I just invite you just to stay, find that movement side to side. We're not moving mindlessly. So think about the movement as you're doing it. Think about what's happening in the body. Let's do that for a little bit longer. I really like this This movement, a really great way to open up through the lower back area and the hips. And then slowing that back down. Just coming off the wrists for a moment, giving a little bit of a shake out. It can be a little bit much on the wrist area. So we're going to make our way now from downward facing dog into seal and then down into kind of like an upward facing dog. So I'll just demonstrate that to start. So starting from the hands and knees, press the hips into downward facing dog. And you're going to shift the body weight forward, drop down to the knees, and then squeeze the butt as you drop the hips down to the floor, pressing through the palms, lift the chest. Breathing in, breathing out, press the hips, downward facing dog. Breathing in, shift the body weight forward, drop to the knees, breathing out, squeeze the butt, drop the hips down. Breathing in, draw the belly in, press the hips up, downward facing dog. Breathing out, or breathing in, sorry, as you come down, drop the knees, breathing out, lower the hips down. Now your option now is to continue on, dropping down to the knees when you lower, or as you come from downward facing dog, you're going to let the knees stay lifted and then drop the hips down. Breathing in, press the hips up, breathing out as you press into downward facing dog. Breathing in, shift the weight forward, breathing out, squeeze the butt, drop the hips down, shoulders away from the ears. Breathing in, breathing out, downward facing dog. Breathing in, breathing out, upward facing dog. Let's do that 2 more times. Good. Drop down to the knees, press the hips back into a child's pose. And then walking the hands back to the knees. And come up onto the knees, so we're in a kneeling position. I'm going to take one leg forward, it doesn't really matter which one. Tuck the hips under, so think tailbone down to the floor, and then shift the body weight forward. So we're in a low lunge position. From here, I'm going to take the same arm as back leg, reach it up, and then over to the side. So from the front, it will look like this. So I'm in that low lunge position, reaching up, and then over to the side. So it's a nice way to get into that hip flexor area. Just remain nice and stable. You can bring this foot out in front or out to the side a little bit, just to kind of a little bit more balance. And then coming out of that, lengthen through the front leg. You can either keep the toes on the floor or lift the toes up. Take a little forward fold here, getting a nice lengthening through the hamstrings. Let's do that again. So shifting forward into that low lunge. Again, find that position. Sacrum or tailbone down to the floor, shift forward, option, same arm as back leg reaches up, take a little tip to the side. Coming back through to center, shifting the hips back now, lengthening through the front leg. Option, you can stay with the spine long, stay lifted, or folding it forward. We're going to do that 1 more time. So shifting the weight forward again, find that position with the hips, tuck them down, shift forward, same arm as back leg comes up, and then over to the side. Keep breathing nice and smoothly. Come back through to center, press the hips back, then take whatever option works best here. Maybe it feels good to stay lifted, might feel nice to fold forward. Gently lift up, swapping sides. So coming back to that kneeling position. Other leg will come forward. Tailbone down, shift forward, Reaching that same arm up as back leg, take a nice little tip to the side. Pressing the hips back, lengthening through the front leg, either staying up or folding forward. You can have a little rounding here through the spine if that feels okay. Being mindful of the neck. Being a nice release through the back of the leg. Coming back into that lunge position. It can even help to bring your hand to the pelvis area. Think tuck down, shift forward, same arm up as back leg, over to the side. So if you sit a lot, this is fantastic to open up through the hips, some blood flow happening, shifting the hips back, lengthen through the spine, and then that option to fold. We are designed to move. It's really important that if you are sitting a lot through your day, take the time, maybe set like a little alarm, and get up, move around, go for a little walk. Good, let's do that one more time. Coming into that low lunge position, tuck the pelvis under, shift forward, same arm up as back leg. So I've spent a little bit more time than usual on a computer. And just from spending that little bit of extra time, I've really noticed that in my body, and I kind of wonder how people do it all day, every day. Good, one last time, shifting the hips back, folding forward. Good, releasing out of that. It's coming onto your buttocks, bringing the hands behind you, bring the feet a little bit wider than your hips. So we're going to go into a windshield wiper. And just coming down, just as far as feels okay. You might have lots of movement here, or it might feel quite kind of stiff and stuck. Don't force it, just let the body go where it naturally wants to go. It's focusing on the breath, nice and smooth. And then the next time you find your knees down to the right side, you're going to hold them there and let them relax. So you may be here, you may be here, you may be here. Just relaxing into whatever position you can get into. I don't know if you heard my hip click just then. So you may hear things like that in your own hips. It's generally just a pretty natural thing that can happen over time. If it hurts, maybe investigate a little bit more. If not, it's just a natural sounds that the body likes to make. Starting to find some movement again, side to side. I think the better care we take, the more time we spend on helping our body, the better we're going to feel, the less little aches and creaks and cracks we're going to hear and feel. Next time you find the knees down to the left side, holding into that position. Breathing nice and smoothly. You may find one side feels a little bit easier or more open than the other. Just natural part. We want to be as symmetrical as possible. But generally, we're going to have some little asymmetries going on in our body. I don't like to say it's normal, but that's pretty normal. Good, one last time, finding some movement. Have never met a perfectly symmetrical person, perfectly perfect person. Good, releasing that, give the legs a little bit of a shake out. It's going to come down now onto our backs. Hug the knees in towards your chest. You can take a little roll around here on the spine. Just a couple more releases for the hip area. Bring the feet down to the floor. Take your right ankle across your left knee And you'll find that you've created a little triangle there. So you're going to lift the left foot off the floor, reach the right hand through that triangle, reach the left hand either around behind the left knee or in front of it, and then just gently start to pull that in towards your body. If you've got the space, your right elbow can start to press the right knee away. Just check in with the shoulders, relax them down. Really nice stretch here and release for your glute, for your hip. It's really important that our hips feel good. You think of like everything that happens above them and below them. We put a lot of pressure on them, a lot of stress. Release the hands, keep the right ankle where it is, bring your left foot back down to the floor. You're just going to roll that down to the left side. And then think shoulders to the floor, point your right knee up to the ceiling, keep the foot flat on the floor. And you might start to feel that just around the outside of that hip area, a little bit more into the top of the IT band. Just relaxing into that. Taking 2 more breaths here. Bring that back through to center, swapping sides. So bring the right foot to the floor, left ankle comes across the right knee. Created that little triangle, lift the right foot up, reach through, grab either behind or in front of the right knee, then gently pull it into the body. You can press the left knee away. Just be really mindful when you are stretching the body or doing, this kind of movement, or not forcing it. Don't kind of push the body into a range that it's not ready to go into, or it just kind of doesn't feel right. And again, one side might feel a little bit tighter than the other side. Speaking from experience right here. Releasing that down, bring the right foot down to the floor. Let that roll over. Point the left knee up to the sky or the ceiling, foot flat on the floor. And just want to feel it kind of around the sort of outside of the hip into this kind of outer thigh area. You won't feel it probably all the way down. You may. It's mainly just kind of up around the top part of it. And just another opportunity to check in with your body, with your breathing. Let that come back through to center. Hug both knees in towards your chest to start to roll up and down the spine. You hear my smoothie gurgling around in my stomach. Hopefully I don't throw it up. Good. Come up to a seated position. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you feel a little bit more open in your hips. Let me know if you liked it, if you enjoyed it, if you got something out of it. I'd love to know. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.